March 1st, 2019. Busch Gardens Tampa confirms what we already knew, with a twist. It was clear by then that RMC was slated to work on the old dormant Gwazi wooden coaster, but we didn't know what it was going to look like. It caught just about everyone off guard when we learned that this would be a hyper hybrid, almost twice as tall as the original. This wouldn't be just any RMC hybrid. This could be one of the world's best coasters. Its 2020 opening was pushed back because of COVID. SeaWorld decided 2021 wasn't their time either. Finally, in the winter of 2022, Iron Gwazi made its grand debut. People finally got to ride it and they went nuts. This shot up to many people's #1 spot, an insane breakneck experience. I, of course, needed to get out there. I couldn't get there right away, I had to wait. I had one shot to get to Florida this year, and in late July, I was able to do it and get 4 rides on RMC's newest hybrid. And yes, I vlogged the whole experience. Check out that video in the card above or the link below. But today, I wanted to give you my full thoughts on this coaster and find out where it ranks among RMC's best and in my top 50. These are 10 things to love about Iron Gwazi and a few to hate. Before we dig into the details of Iron Gwazi, if you can drop this video a like, I'd appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. I have 10 things to love about Iron Gwazi, so let's run those down first before pointing out the flaws. The first couple points are before you even leave the station. First, you can choose your row. For a ride that will pull very long lines, you're gonna wanna make your ride count. I recommend you come on a weekday outside the summer months. Don't be stupid like me and come on a Saturday in the summer. But regardless of when you come, you may run into an employee assigning seats, but there was no problem at all requesting a specific row. I was able to get 1 ride in the very back, that's where you want to be, and 3 rides in my second favorite row in RMC's, that being row 10. In some parks, their assigned seating is very strict. Dollywood and Lightning Rod is a little less forgiving. Not a problem with Iron Gwazi, go get your favorite row. Just a side note, they do not allow bags in the station, but they don't have any stupid loose article policies when it comes to phones. Knock on wood. Hopefully, they don't have an incident that makes them change this. But for now, you can put your stuff in a zipper pouch under the seat, or just leave it in a cargo pocket. Once you're on the train, your next battle will be with the ops. From my experience, it wasn't much of a battle. Their ops do not stable. They look at your bar. If it's too high, they will ask you to push it down more, but you will not get smashed and ruin your ride. These are your typical RMC New Age lap bars, the kind you'll find on Steel Vengeance. I love these. The shin guards don't bother me and they allow me to get some extra room. So, you're now ready to leave the station. You're in your favorite row, and you have the perfect amount of airtime room. Everything is perfect for you to have a legendary ride. Hang a left, dip under the queue, and head up the 206-foot lift hill. This is very intimidating, and you crawl up that lift very slow. It slows down even more coming over the top. I wish it wouldn't, but in the end, it doesn't matter that much. That's because of the next thing to love, the first drop. 206 feet, beyond vertical at 91 degrees. If that sounds amazing, that's because it is. In fact, I don't think any other RMC first drop is better than this one. The top of the class for me was Iron Rattler, followed by Steel Vengeance, and I think the length of Iron Gwazi's drop, plus the airtime you get over it, that makes it the best. It does feel a lot longer than the drop on Steel Vengeance, and it gives a really nice prolonged moment of floater airtime in the back. Maybe it would be ejector if the lift hill wasn't so slow, but you'll get plenty of that later. Enjoy your floater. After this drop, you rise into the next big element, the outer bank turn. RMC has mastered this element. Intamin has even tried to get in on this. I don't blame them, this is amazing. Steel Vengeance has a huge one just like this, and that's my favorite element of all time. It tosses you out of your seat by tilting the wrong way, then drags you all the way to the ground. The whole time, you don't touch your seat at all. This element on Iron Gwazi does not disappoint. I think the one on Steel Vengeance is still better, but on Iron Gwazi, it still delivers. You get tossed out of your seat at the top, and you float the whole way down. It's not as powerful as Steel Vengeance, but I still can't complain. You get airtime, that's all that matters. The ride then rises back up, banks to the right. You reach the peak, and then it just rips you to the left through a barrel roll down drop. This seems like a unique element, but technically it's the same element you find on Storm Chaser or Twisted Timbers. Obviously, those serve as the ride's first drop, so you aren't moving that fast into them. With Iron Gwazi, you're going pretty fast before you rip into it. In the back, you see everyone's bodies fling to the side as you roll into this. Also, because it turns before the roll, you don't really see it coming, so it can catch you off guard. That will make the whip that much more crazy. This is a great inversion and very well placed, but to be perfectly honest, I thought it was a very similar feeling to Twisted Timber's first drop. I thought it would be crazier. Like with the big outer bank, despite my small criticism, I can't complain. You then have a high overbank turn. The best part of this is the small pop of airtime you get as you whip out of it. I'm sure this is only good in the back. But then you got the next thing to love, the outer banked wave turn. This whips you to the right, hangs you there, and then it straightens you back up as you dive down. This is a rare element. It reminds me a lot of the green high five on Twisted Colossus, but this is more drawn out and therefore so much better. That green high five is kinda awkward and one of my least favorite elements on Twisted Colossus, but on Iron Gwazi, it was executed so much better. Because it leaves you there, you fly out of your seat way more than I expected. This was the most surprising part of the ride for me, a real hidden gem. The ride goes into a small airtime hill and then a bank turn. I got some airtime on both of these moments. I really didn't expect it on the turn, so that was nice. And then you got the next element to love, the 0G stall. This element is RMC's best inversion in general, and even though this is not their best stall, I think Twisted Colossus still has the edge here. It provides that great feeling of weightlessness, and just as you're floating there in pure bliss, it rips you back upright with a great moment of whip. Like I said in my vlog, this ride has whip, so much whip, and the reason for that is the next reason to love Iron Gwazi, its pacing. From my calculation, only Zadra is better paced than Iron Gwazi when it comes to RMCs. When you're flying through the elements this fast, all those forces are just accentuated. That's definitely true when it comes to whip, but also when it comes to ejector airtime. But up to this point, I haven't mentioned ejector airtime, but don't worry, that's coming. Iron Gwazi kind of pulls a Fury 325 finale, saving its best airtime for the end. After the stall, you pull up into a slightly outer banked hill, then you turn right and up into a double down. The second part of that double down is one intense ejector moment, but Iron Gwazi isn't done. Another long turn to the right, then a pop up, and bam! One more violent ejector moment, diving under that outer banked hill I just mentioned. You make a left turn and then whip into the brakes. And when I say you whip into the brakes, I mean you hit it with a head of steam. This ride could have been so much longer and still had enough speed to make it great. That being said, the 10th and final thing to love about Iron Gwazi is the length. When you're done with the coaster, you don't want to feel like it's a short ride. I never felt like any of my 4 rides were too short. From the first drop to the final brakes, it's about 47 seconds. That's right in the middle of the RMC pack. The same amount of ride time you get on the Joker, a couple seconds behind Twisted Timbers, 5 behind Lightning Rod, 10 behind Wicked Cyclone, and of course, 30 behind Steel Vengeance. When you put it that way, maybe it is a little too short, but I'm just telling you, when you ride it, you don't feel cheated when you hit the final brakes. So there you go, 10 things to love about Iron Gwazi. There isn't much to complain about, and most of my points to hate don't have anything to do with the ride itself. A couple minor things. The name is stupid and lazy. That's my opinion, but here's one that's hard to argue with. Iron Gwazi is located right in the middle of the park, but it's insanely hard to shoot. You can see it great from other rides, but from the ground level, good luck finding places to get good pictures or get footage. This is why I don't have much of my own footage. You almost need to have special access to the infield to really capture it all. Now for the more serious stuff. This has a bad habit of breaking down. It went down several times on my visit, once when I was in line and waited about an hour for them to fix it. I know that most new coasters have this problem, especially RMCs. Twisted Colossus used to have horrible downtime back in 2015. Now it seems to be a lot better. I got stuck in a 4-hour delay for Steel Vengeance on opening weekend. It happens to RMCs. I'm guessing they need to tweak the sensors. Just beware, if you're gonna ride it this year, you may see a 45 or 60 or 90 minute posted wait time, but the chances of it breaking down during your already long wait are pretty good. The ride ops were also warning people against leaning on the gates or shaking the gates, and they said this will cause the ride to break down. I agree, people shouldn't be doing that, but for that to cause the ride to break down just seems like a bad design. Another thing to hate, this has some of the worst dispatch times I've ever seen, at least outside Six Flags America. 1 minute is pretty good, 2 minutes is pretty bad, but Iron Gwazi was lucky to dispatch every 3 minutes. It was so frustrating to see the train sitting there, ready to go, and they have that board that shows how long it's been sitting in the station. I think it maxed out at 299 seconds, and sometimes it hit that point, but usually it would clear 180, and that just isn't good. One thing I noticed is that it's not friendly to bigger riders. It seemed like on every train, there was one person who needed some extra effort to get the lap bar to clear. They couldn't do it, and they had to unlock it and leave the train. It seems like these RMC trains are unforgiving for anyone above average size. That slows down dispatches big time. Finally, my biggest complaint. Iron Gwazi runs very slow in the morning. I got my first ride just after opening around 10:15 a.m., and I was incredibly disappointed. If that was my only ride, I would probably rank it in the bottom 25% of my RMCs. There was no bite, it had no power, no whip, but I didn't lose hope. I had the same problem with Jersey Devil, and unfortunately, I had to leave after my one morning ride, so it's my lowest rank RMC and it's not even close. I had time to ride Iron Gwazi later on, so I rode again at 1 p.m., then 8:30, then got one of the last rides of the night, and that was by far the best one. I will rank Iron Gwazi based on those warmed up rides, but it has to lose points for being so slow in the morning. Other RMCs don't have this problem. I rode Twisted Timbers in the morning and the afternoon, and it was just as powerful no matter when I rode it. So, the million-dollar question, where does Iron Gwazi rank? It gets major points for having unique elements, and executing them so well. It loses some points for not having that many ejector moments and being slow in the morning. I feel like this is better than Lightning Rod, but I wouldn't put it ahead of Wicked Cyclone. I think that layout was so insanely good. Unpopular opinion, I know. Leave all the hate in the comments, but my rides in 2021 were so good all day that I can't drop it. This still puts Iron Gwazi in my top 10, knocking Lightning Rod down to number 8. And now I have to ask, does Iron Gwazi deserve to be ranked over Velocicoaster? My answer is no. Iron Gwazi will take my number 7 spot overall and my number 3 RMC. That's all I have for Iron Gwazi. If you've had a chance to ride it, let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I said here. I got 4 rides, so I feel like I got a pretty good sense of it, even though I only rode in the back. It seemed like every time I rode it, I learned something new. I wish I could have gotten 10 more rides, but I was more than satisfied with my 4. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please consider giving me a sub. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you're a baseball fan like I am. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.